Well, hello, friends. Today's video is going to be pretty short. I want to talk about this concept that I ran into, that there are two kinds of people in our lives. There are people who push us, and there are people who pull us. Some people are going to push you to be better, and some people are going to act as a drag. They're going to pull you to keep you where they are, because they don't want to change. And I think it's important to recognize that most people don't know when they are pushing and when they are pulling. Most people don't know whether they are being encouraging or not. Most people don't think about it. It's just not something that's on their radar. But it's really important if you are trying to do something like be an author, that you surround yourself with people who are going to push you, that you surround yourself with sales, right? That you engage with people who are going to prompt you to be better and to improve and to make progress and to gain momentum. If you, on the other hand, surround yourself with people who are constantly dragging you back or holding you to keep you where they are, you're going to find that your career is much, much harder. Rather than just sitting here and giving you some sort of, set of rules or framework or principles like I normally do, I want to tell you a bit of a story, all right? I have been trying to do creative, interesting stuff for a long time, for years. I'm almost 40, and all through my 20s, even before that, in my teen years, and then in my 20s, and then in my 30s, I have just tried to do creative stuff, and I tried to do it over and over and over again. I would always come up with these like cool projects or like business ideas, right? I really wanted to make movies for a while, and then I had these ambitions of doing all of this other stuff, right? But always creative, always revolving around creating something, making something, using my mind to generate content of some sort to then give to other people. And as I tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed in all sorts of different creative endeavors, I found myself growing really, really frustrated. And when I started writing, I realized one day that I was falling into the same exact trap that I had before. That my writing was something that I was, working really hard on, but I was not really going the direction that I wanted to, or I was not making progress in the direction. I was not making progress towards my goals. And so I did a really just sort of clear assessment of my life. And there was one thing in particular that I noticed. At the time, I was playing a game called Warhammer 40K, and I was playing it a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. And I loved playing Warhammer. And more than that, I loved playing with the group of people that I was playing with. Every single Thursday, I would go and I would hang out with, 10 to 30 other people. We had a pretty big group at one point. And we would spend Thursday evening setting up tables, bringing out all of our models, talking about the game, talking about Warhammer, playing, rolling dice, having a great time. And it was so fun. It was tremendous fun. But what I liked even more than the game was that the people I was spending time with were like me. They enjoyed Warhammer 40K, but they also really wanted to do creative things. They loved art, and they loved music, and they loved, stories, and all of that combined together. Everybody wanted to do interesting, creative things. We started all of these different projects among us to try and do creative things, and yet we never actually got anywhere. We never actually did anything. We would start something and then it would just sort of peter out, and then we'd start something else and we'd have these other great ideas and we'd get really excited about it, and nothing ever came of it. And then it struck me. We spent all of our time talking about doing things. And I was a chief culprit, right? I would spend so much time thinking about ideas and creative ideas, and like talking about the creative ideas and planning for the creative ideas, and I never actually just did the work. And so when I came to that realization, I started scaling back in my participation. I started shifting my focus, and I started showing up less on Thursday nights. I started talking less in the group chats. I started shifting out of those familiar spaces and habits that had me talking about creative things and never doing creative things. Talking about this kind of makes me sad, because I genuinely loved those Thursday nights. I went and hung out with the same group of people for years. Every Thursday night, sometimes Saturdays. It was such an important part of my life. And yet, what I discovered was that it was also one of the biggest barriers for me for doing creative things. Because I was spending so much of my attention and my effort and my mental space on talking about creative things and engaging my imagination with these other people in this wonderful way, that I wasn't actually writing, that I wasn't actually creating. Over a period of about 2 years, I slowly sort of trailed off in that group, right? I slowly started going less, and I started engaging less, and I started writing more. I started actually doing the things that we had been talking about. And again, it's kind of bittersweet. Like, the result is that I was able to establish myself as an author. The result is that I was able to start an amazing career. The result is that I have written, 44 books in the last 6 years. The result is that I have achieved the thing that I wanted to achieve. But there was cost too, right? And I don't want to downplay that, because that cost is significant. And what I'm not saying is that you should, stop hanging out with your friends, and you should distance yourselves from all of your social groups, and you should run off and, monk mode and just put your head down and do the thing. No. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that, at least for me, I realized that the activities I was choosing to engage in were not activities that were pushing me forward. The people that I was surrounding myself with were not people who were encouraging me to move forward. I so appreciated and valued all of my friends who I played Warhammer with. All of the people I got to interact with. They're wonderful people. But they also were comfortable continuing to play Warhammer on Thursday nights and continuing to spend their time talking about it, engaging with it. They were comfortable with the place they were in. And though it wasn't intentional, their comfort acted as an anchor. It acted to pull me back from what I wanted to achieve. Again, these situations are always tricky, right? Because relationships are really important. People are really important. And I genuinely miss a lot of those interactions and a lot of those relationships. The people I played with and the people I hung out with and the people I spent so much time with were awesome. They still are awesome. But sometimes in life, we don't get to have our cake and eat it too. Sometimes in life, you have to choose one or the other. If you're feeling like you can't make progress, if you're feeling like there are invisible weights that just drag you back every time you try to push forward, then consider this. Consider your circumstances and the people who you spend the most time with. Consider the positions you put yourself in and what you spend your time and energy and effort and focus doing. And I'm not saying that you need to somehow go this alone, right? That you need to cut your anchors and press on by yourself. No, there are plenty of people who will act as sails for you. In fact, some of my initial sails, right? Some of the people who encouraged me the most in my writing were those very same people who I had spent so much time with. Because as I started writing, as I started coming out with books, doing audiobooks and stuff like that, they jumped in and were like, Seth, this is awesome. Your stuff is great. Keep writing. They were the ones who formed my initial core fan base. One of the guys who has supported me the most is someone I met in that original group. And so it's important to understand that just because someone is an anchor right now doesn't mean that they're not going to be a sail for you. Sometimes it just requires changing the context of the relationship. So anyway, that's the video. Hopefully there's something in there that's worthwhile. Hopefully you got something from it. Let me know down in the comments if you didn't. If it was absolute garbage, I want to know. If you have any particular topics that you'd like me to cover, always leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them. I am going to be away for the next couple of, the next month and a half. And so I won't be doing any streams until pretty much August, which sucks, but it is what it is. But that also means that I'm going to have more flexibility in sort of what videos I record. And so if you're interested in a particular video, let me know.